Okay, the first thing you got to do is we're going to create a folder. We need a folder to put our project in. So we're going to say HTML. And inside the folder, we're going to create a document. The document we're going to create right now is going to be called index.html. And the index page can be index.html, or it could be home.html. It can be whatever. I mean, it can be whatever you want. It can be index or home. From there, we're going to take this HTML document now and drag it into Sublime Text. Inside Sublime Text, I hit the greater than button, HT, and then it says, oh, that's an HTML document. So I say, yeah, it's an HTML document. All right, so we've got the HTML document. But every line of code, every space, every comma makes a difference. All the competition is using some type of front end. The stuff we're doing now, they don't want to do. They're lazy. They want to do the easiest way. So they use front ends like Bootstrap and all this stuff. And Bootstrap gives you the code for every option you can have. So it's like you getting in your car and you've got 50 different radios. And you say, why do I need 50 different stereos? Well, in case you want to use a Pioneer stereo or a Sony stereo or this stereo, I mean, your car would be insane. You wouldn't even have enough room to sit down. And that's what they do with the website. So they add in a different button for red, a different color for this. Open that door because that dog's not going away. So these front-end frameworks give you options for everything you can dream of. There's an option for everything, and that slows the website down. What we're doing is we're building a website specific for you. So every line of code, everything in here is specific for your website. So yours should be faster than everybody. There should not be one website online that's faster than you. And then what that does, also your code's going to validate. What makes a professional coder? How do you tell a professional from an amateur?
I don't know. Maybe he know more about coding, know more about what he's doing.
But if we're sitting here talking, you could, depending on the topic and the area you go into, somebody could know a lot about one area, but not that much about another, and they could trick you into thinking they're an expert. So the way you tell if somebody's an expert is you look at their code to see if it validates. Validating code means that you look, and there's this company, there's W3C, and W3C, they work with the browsers like Firefox and Opera and Chrome and all these, and they say, hey, what do we need to do to make everything work? And they know exactly how the code's supposed to be. So they've got tools that look at your code and they say, hey, there's a problem with your code. It's not going to work correctly in this browser or that browser. Or whatever. So they've got these tools that look at your code. So I went through Shopify. I took the top 100 websites on Shopify, the websites that are making the most money. The people that are making money with their website should care more about their website, right? Mm-hmm. So these should be the best of the best. These are the people making the most money on Shopify. You know how many of their websites validated? No. 0, not one. So bad code, one, it can cause the website to load slower.
And why is validated?
We're going to show you. We're going to build this out, and then we're going to validate the code here, so you can see exactly how to validate it and everything. But it's just making sure everything's done correctly. It's making sure all the code is done exactly like it's supposed to be, and that's how you tell an expert. If you go and you say, okay, an expert has to write the code correctly. Validating is writing it correctly. That's all it is. It's making sure all your paragraphs are closed, making sure you do everything exactly like the people you're coding it for, which are the browsers, Firefox, Chrome, and these things are who's going to display the website. So it's coding it to the specs that they give us. Okay? So if our code validates, that means it's correct. So the way you tell the expert by the amateur is if their code validates, right? Mm-hmm. If you're an expert and you're writing bad code, you're not an expert anymore. If you're a mechanic and I go and the car won't run after you work on it, you're not a very good mechanic, are you?
No.
Okay, so if your code doesn't validate, you're not a very good coder. Mm-hmm. So all the websites on Shopify, that means that we can take our template. If we do this correctly, we should be able to convert this template into a Shopify template. And it should be the fastest template on Shopify. Shopify should not have a template faster than this one because we've coded it correctly. But then what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to build our own back end so we can test it, validate it, make sure everything's working. Because if we have our own back end, now that gives you total control. Let's say you're using Shopify, or let's say you're using WordPress. WordPress is the most hacked platform in the world. Everybody hacks platform. If you use WordPress, if you just create a website in WordPress, you immediately become a potential victim because 75% of the websites made in WordPress are hackable. So that means that there's people who do nothing all day long but write programs and try and hack into WordPress. So if you're building a shopping cart, you're taking money. Your website has to be secure. If it's not secure, you got a big problem. You just let all your customers' credit card information get out. Now you got 10,000 people suing you because you just said you didn't secure your back end, and the government will come after you and fine you too. So this thing has to be so secure that it's impossible for anybody to hack it. It's got to be, everything has to be done correctly. So there's some things like for example, you've got different languages. What we're coding now, this is going to be the front end. So the front end is going to be the first thing that we're going to code out. Then we're going to code out the back end in Python. Then we're going to turn around and recode our template out to test it in Shopify to compare it against the best in the world are supposed to be on Shopify. So we're going to take our template and make sure it's better than everybody else's. So everybody else is using front ends. We're not going to use a front end. And because we're not using a front end, we've got code here that a lot of this code the browser doesn't need anymore. A lot of this code, the browser knows this is an HTML document. So we don't need to tell him it's an HTML document. He knows it's an HTML document. He can look at it and tell that the title should be in the head. So in the head is the invisible stuff. The head is only seen by the search engines, except for the title. When you go to the browser and across the top of the page right here, let's see what we've got. Oh, we've got nothing open. But if you go to the website and in the tab, it's got a name right there. So like with YouTube right here, it says YouTube. You see YouTube right there? So whatever you put in this box right here, whatever you want to show up on your website, whatever name you want to show up there is what you put here. But you want to use the keywords you want to rank for because this is where Google comes to see what your website's about. And then underneath that in the header, you have a description. If you do a search in Google, but if we come to Google and we do a search for anything, if we say website design, the keyboard's at an angle, so it's hard to type because I've got it kind of between you and I, and I've got this other thing over here on the side. So now this text here is your description text. So you can set up a description to control this. All this stuff is controlled from inside this head right here. But some of this stuff is only here to help us understand what it's about. So we don't need the head because they know and understand every line of code we remove makes our website faster. And if we're going to be using AI, machine learning, and stuff like this, we need our website to be really fast because we'll be adding a lot of features to it. So we can actually remove the body, the head. We can remove all that. Now, look how slim our document is to start with. If you're in Bootstrap, you want to see what Bootstrap looks like to start with? Let's see what Bootstrap looks like. Let's go to Bootstrap. If we go to Get Bootstrap right here, let's see if they've got some themes. Let's just pick a theme. Launch the preview. And we can go to like Control U. We wanted to see this. Now you see in there, this is their head tag here. You see they've got the head tag, and then they've got all this code right here inside the head tag. Now each one of these lines of code, let me look, this is their head. You see all this? This is just their head right here. And then each line of these, if you click on this right here, that's all this code is on here. Now look at all this code. All that code right there. So it's going, and each one of these is a call out. So this website is going to be really slow because every one of these little things right here is saying, go get this information, go get this information, go get this information, and every one of these is big files. The reason they're like this is because all these companies, Shopify, WordPress, Bootstrap, all of them want to be, well, all those are images, but all of them want to be made for the masses. They want to be made so everybody can use them. And when you're made for the masses, you become ordinary. You know why?
No.
Let's say that I say, hey, I'm going to make a go-kart to sell to everybody. And I say, I want it to be really fast. And they're going to say, well, I don't want my kid riding on a really fast go-kart. We want it to be a little slow. Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to make it really tall. Well, no, we don't want our kid on a really tall go-kart. We need it kind of medium. Not too low, not too tall, not too fast, not too slow. So you're not anything. You're just ordinary. You're like vanilla ice cream. You understand? So by taking and writing the code specific for something, you're able to make it faster. So what we want is we want it to be really fast, and we want it to work in any device you put it in, and we want it to work for anybody. If somebody's blind, we want it to be able to read the screens. We want it to validate in every possible way. We want the SEO to be perfect, that everything has to be perfect. Now, everybody else is using these made for the masses, big, giant, bloated websites and everything else. Amazon said that they would lose, let's see exactly what Amazon said. Amazon said they would lose how much money per year if they for 1 second slow time. Amazon said a 1 second slowdown. This should be all we got to write. Amazon calculated if a page slowed down for just 1 second, it would cost them $1.6 billion in sales. Google has calculated that by slowing its search results by just 0.4 of a second, not even a second, they lose 8 million searches per day. So the speed matters a lot. If we're faster than the competition, they say that 53%, more than half your customers will leave if your website takes more than 3 seconds to load. You know what the average Shopify website load time is? And these are people who are selling. These are small business owners trying to make a living on Shopify. Shopify average template load time is 4 seconds. At 3 seconds, they've lost 53%, more than half their traffic. So that means if they spend $1 on advertising, and that dollar, so say they spend $1,000 on advertising, and that $1,000 will get them one customer. If you spend the same $1,000, you should get 2 customers, maybe even 3. You see, so how can they compete with you? Because now you can spend more money on advertising because you're getting more return on your investment. So everything we do to this thing right here is going to make it faster. So now from here, and don't act like you're falling asleep now. You want to quit school and start a job. I'm your boss now. I'll slap you. You go to sleep. I'm not like your teacher.
No, I ain't listening.
Okay, so now there's a couple things we've got to do. Inside the head part, it's got to work in any device. So inside the head part, in order to make this thing work in any device, we've got to type in this. We've got to type in meta. Let's say name equals, and then it's going to equal the viewport. And then from there, we've got our content. So we're going to say the content is going to be equal to, so we're going to say content is equal to, and we're going to say the width of the device. So we're going to say the width, and the width is equal to the device width. You going to remember all this?
Nope.
Well, you should be remembering it all.
I am watching it, but I don't remember the things. I don't know what it means.
This is just telling it to go to different sizes in your cell phone. So if you got a cell phone or a laptop, this is telling it to resize. So we're saying it to rescale, and we're saying to rescale to 1. So, and all this should be inside this comma right here. So this comma here should actually be over here. You want to type some? The other thing that's going to be in here is the description. So we can say the meta name, again, meta name is going to equal to, and this is going to be our description. So we can say description, and then the content would be whatever you put here is going to be the text that's going to show up in the search engines when the searches do that. So this is your search engine text. And then from there, we want to add in some HTML. We're going to add in some stuff in the body now. So here, you come over here since you're falling asleep.
No.
Sit down right here in this chair.
I'm not falling asleep.
And here's what you're going to do. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to type in the greater than sign. We're inside the body now. So
This one?
Yep. And then you're going to say div class. So div class. I don't know the mic's going to pick me up very good. We hit enter right there. Watch, if you hit enter, and then we go back. Now what we can do too is hit enter again, and now we've got a space for the next text right here. You see? Now what we can do is come back to this space here, and now do a space and do class. Type in CL, and it's going to fill it out for you. So just type CL, and now look, hit enter. Now this is an element. The div is an element. The class is where this is where we're going to control the look and feel. So now we've got to type in the grid container, GRID -container, and we can name this anything we want. We're naming this for helping us to identify everything's going inside this container. So this container is like a box. So we're going to create a box to hold everything so we can control the total size of the box. And go dash box. My keyboard everything on my keyboard didn't work like it's supposed to. All right, now the grid container is where we're going to put, no, this is going to be container. So say container, CONTAINER. So this is our grid container. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put some boxes inside of this box, okay? So we're going to do another div, do another greater than sign, this greater than sign, and then DI, and there it is right there. Okay, hit enter. Separate it and put it on 2 different lines so we can keep up with it. And then what we want to do is inside here we're going to add another class. So the class is styling it, and then we're going to add in a selector. So this is called a selector. So the grid box is our selector, and then we're going to go back down. Okay, this is going to be, we're going to add 2 selectors in here. The first selector is for the grid box. The second selector is going to be the top bar. So the top bar is specific for this area. This is going to be where we're going to put some information and stuff. Now go down to this next area, hit the down key, and type in info bar. Matter of fact, put it inside a paragraph. So if you do the greater than sign and hit P, that's a paragraph. Hit enter, and now type in info bar. That's where we're going to put our phone number. This is where our phone number and all will be. And I thought you took typing in school. You can only type on a cell phone, right? So
they only teach you to type in the book.
Now we want to stay inside this container right here, but we're going to go down now, and we're going to add in another. For our element, use header. Do the greater than sign and type in header. H. Okay, now look right here. Click on that one right there, the second one. A header is a different element, so we can use a header element instead. And then on the class, the only thing we have to type in the class is the grid box. We don't have to type header anymore because we've got the grid box. We've got header here, so that's our header. And then right here in the header, type in logo. And then we can use the same. Do the same thing. We use the element on this element, and you notice how these are indented. This is a box. Everything in this box is indented. Everything inside this box is indented. You see how I'm doing that?
Okay.
That way you can easily see where everything's at. So right now, we're going to do a nav. So we can do a nav element the same way we did the header element. So now we have a header, the nav. And what we want to do is add a class to this too. So we do the class, and the class is going to be what? Grid box again, right?
Okay.
So, and now go down again under nav, and under nav, these are different sections on our website. We're setting up the sections. So the top is going to be where you got that bar across the top that you see on websites. Underneath that's going to be your logo. Then underneath that's going to be your nav. So right there, type in nav. Do another, or just, you didn't do a paragraph here, so just do nav there too. So you can do a paragraph. A paragraph is like this. And then just type in nav. Spell it correctly. It's hard to type reaching over your shoulders. Okay, now, after the nav, we're going to have a hero image. The hero image is like your elevator pitch. Do you know what an elevator pitch is? It's like if you had 1 second to talk to somebody in an elevator and they say, what do you do for a living? Is you trying to say the right words that you could sell them on what you do for a living before the doors open on the next floor. So you have just a second to explain what you do in an interesting way to keep them involved. The call to action, every page on the website has one purpose, one call to action, one reason for being there. And the hero image is where we put that reason for being. This is our main call to action. So this is where we're going to put a big giant image right here. So this section right here, we're going to say, do the greater than sign.
Distance?
Yep. Okay, now inside the div, we're going to call this one the grid box and hero.
Okay.
So go back and make a class.
That?
Yep. And then come up here to the space. Do a space. Now type there's class. That's grid box. Hit grid box. Now do a space. And we're going to do hero. You're going to have to type it out. HERO. Then we're going to turn around and do another one. This is going to be a main element though. So come under right here. Type in underneath that. Type in hero. Just so you've got them all the same. Do the greater than P and type hero.
Like that?
Yep. Now go down a space, and this is going to be our main one now. So we're going to do an element. This is going to be our main element. So do the greater than sign. Type in main, and you see main right there. And again, this is going to be a grid box. It's going to be the same thing. All we need is a grid box because we've got the main element. So we can set up our CSS to target main. So we don't need any of this other stuff. All we need is the grid box. The class and the grid box.
And put that?
Yep. You got to put the class. The class is supposed to be inside this tag though, right? Then space, class right there. In that grid box, there's the grid box. And then right here in the main, you can do a paragraph and say main there. Well, no, you're going too far now. In between the two little lines, right there. Do enter. A paragraph. The paragraph is the greater than sign with the P. And then type in main.
Like that?
Yep. Then underneath that, we're going to do a sidebar. Now, this sidebar is going to be there. If you've got a big device, you'll see the sidebar. But if you're in your cell phone, the sidebar is going to be above the content. So we're going to call this a side. So there's an element we can put here. We don't have to. We're just going to call it a side, the same as we did the other ones. We're going to say comma, and you're going to say a side. A-S, and you see it right there. Now you got to add a class.
Mm-hmm. Here.
Yep. Space and then class. And this is going to be called grid box 2. That's all we need is that grid box. And then in that sidebar, we're going to put a nav over here. So you can just do another paragraph and type in nav right there. N-A-V. Okay, now at this point, let's understand what's happened. They've come to our website. They've seen our phone number. They didn't call us. They saw our logo, and that didn't inspire them. They saw the hero image, but for some reason, they didn't click on it. The hero image is where we wanted them to click. They've come down, and they've looked at our other stuff. As a matter of fact, what we can also do right here, let's add one more thing right here. Underneath the hero image, we're going to add a featured image. So we can do that same thing. We can say div, and we can say class, and we can say grid box, and then we can say featured right here. So now we're even got another. This is where we're going to put our feature stuff. This is where you put the stuff. Typing over your back is difficult, but don't move. So what we can do here, we try and get them to, so they come down the page. They see our logo. They don't do anything. That we show them the nav bar. This has got, and keep in mind, we're going to do a mega menu here. A mega menu is where you show just about all your products, or at least all your categories in one place. But the more options you give somebody, the more confused they get, and the less likely it is they're going to do anything. But I want you to know how to build the mega menu. But we've given them an option to go anywhere on the site they want to go. Our hero image, its purpose was to try and get them to go in the direction. We're trying to guide them in this. It's not a slider. A slider will slow your website down, and you're less likely to make a sale because you're giving them too many options. So the hero image is where we're trying to sell them. Then we've got our featured, where we're showing them different options and different things they can do. Then they go into the main, and in the main, they've got even more content and stuff, but they still haven't clicked. These people are crazy. They're there into our nav bar. They haven't clicked on anything in our nav. So now what we want to do, before we get to the footer, we want to try and sell them one more time. One more chance to try and make this sell. So we're going to call this one teaser. So we're going to do a div class. Oh, sorry about that.
Like that?
Yep, and hit enter. Then we're going to do the class. And the class is going to have to be the grid box and also teaser. And we just say teaser. And then this will be our last call to action before you get to the footer. This is here we're going to say, please buy something, you idiots. What are you doing? So that's our last chance to make a sale. And then from there, you've got the footer. And the footer will be the same. We'll say class grid box. And we can even call this one footer. Now, so far, what we've done, and it doesn't really matter if I spell them wrong since it's not. So far, what we've done, we can come in here and look and we can say, okay, what does this look like so far? So let's go back to our desktop. And here's our HTML. So if we come over here and we open this up in the browser, we can see what you've made so far. Not very pretty, is it? So now what we want to do is we want to add some style to it.